Thank you for joining this call. We thought it was important to provide you a status update on what's been going on over the last several years, I guess, as we have attempted to secure a bank account for IGU and all of that. Let me first define a couple of things. We're dealing with three companies here. When I refer to IGU Swiss, I'm referring to IGU Switzerland, which is the nonprofit that the members belong to. Your fees go to IGU Switzerland. The revenue from events go to IGU Switzerland. That's where the money goes. Then there's IGU UK. IGU UK Secretariat is actually a company, a for-profit company that houses the Secretariat. And it has a contractual agreement with IGU Switzerland to conduct the services of the Secretariat. It's on a cost pass-through basis. So whatever it costs to run the Secretariat gets passed on to IGU Switzerland with a small margin, profit margin, that gets added to the invoice, if you may. So that's how we've been operating since the establishment of the Secretariat office in London, the standalone Secretariat office. Now we're also registered in Singapore, and we now have a company called IGU Singapore, and that is a non-profit company registered in Singapore. And I'll explain why that was necessary and what needs to happen from this point forward. Just to go back a little bit, if I can do it quickly, I'll try, but it's been a long and bumpy and disappointing road ever since we moved the Secretariat to London. And I'll just capture a bit of the challenges that we encountered. In the old model, where the Secretariat was sponsored by a company, the company provided the banking facility for the Secretariat. But when we decided to move the Secretariat as a standalone unit in the UK, it needed to establish its own banking facilities, both for IGU Switzerland as well as IGU UK. In view that the incorporation of IGU UK hadn't happened yet in May of 2021, there was an arrangement put in place with a virtual exchange bank in Spain, where the financial assets of the IGU were moved basically from Naturgy, who sponsored the Secretariat, to this exchange bank on a temporary basis, short temporary basis, until we were able to incorporate IGU UK, open a bank account, and then move the funds into the bank account. The challenges with the exchange bank in Spain are that it is not a full service bank. It is only there to handle money exchanges. So you can have accounts in several currencies, and you can move around your money one currency to the next for a fee, obviously. But it's set up to handle currency exchange. It's not a full-fledged bank. It offers no interest on the money. It offers none of the traditional banking services that a tier one bank offers. It has no credit cards. It can't issue credit cards or anything like that. So it's very restrictive in terms of what it can do. But it was thought on a temporary basis, a few months, it should be okay. Well, we're still banking with the exchange bank in Spain, believe it or not. 4 years later, unfortunately, because there's been significant challenges in securing a bank account in the UK, in Switzerland, and in some other jurisdictions. So what happened was that, once we incorporated in the UK, we began to apply to the local banks for an account for both IG UK and IGU Switzerland. And there was a number of issues that were identified, including officers, including uncertainty around the ownership of the organization. There were a lot of questions. Another concern was the broad membership of the organization as an international unit with members from sanctioned countries. And that became a bit of an issue. And despite multiple attempts to set up these two bank accounts, they all failed. Banks would just simply not open a bank account. When I came in September of 23, so that'll be 2 years after we moved to London, I identified the risk of this virtual bank to be the highest risk that IGU was facing, and that there needed to be a rapid action to rectify this situation. And started on a path to do that. And the first thing that we did, it became quite evident, was that we have to separate the bank accounts of Switzerland and the UK. And the minute we separated the UK bank account as a standalone bank account, we were able to successfully secure a bank account in the UK for IGU UK. So great news, we're able to establish a bank that provided the full banking services to the Secretariat, which was good news. And then we turned our heads to Switzerland in trying to secure a bank account in Switzerland. And very early in 2024, we were successful in getting a bank account approved, and we were ecstatic that we were able to do that. But it was our excitement was short-lived, and it was short-lived because the bank had told us that within a couple of weeks we would get the account numbers so we can onboard ourselves on the bank. 2 weeks came and went, and nothing happened. Another couple of weeks, we tried to reach the bank. The bank was not reachable. They ghosted us, and it was quite obvious that despite their approval, they must have changed their mind. Of course, banks are not obligated to give you reasons why they decline a bank account, so we had no idea, what happened. In retrospect, what happened was that in late 2023, new legislation came in place basically in the EU that dealt with multiple issues, and perhaps the most concerning issue was legislation around knowing the source of money. In that, to bank, and if money is coming from an external source, you need to audit and you need to make sure that you understand what the source of those funds is, primarily because some of the sanctioned countries were getting around that by establishing bank accounts in non-sanctioned countries as a way of getting money out. So quite a bit of concern over there. ESG regulations on top of that were a concern. And the whole mix was getting difficult for any international organization to open a bank account under these circumstances. So we applied for a second bank, and we went all the way through the process of putting the application through the Risk and Audit Committee. And at that conclusion, the Audit and Risk Committee of the bank declined our bank account. However, they were nice enough to sit down with us and explain what the issues were. And the issues were around what I just described, new legislation, source of money, all those things. The breadth of our membership created issues, and all of that stuff. So it was very disappointing. And when I mean we applied for a second bank, every application took months. It took months because notarized documents need to be sent in. A very complicated process. So it wasn't like we apply today and next week we get word whether we were successful with the bank account or not. So it was pretty obvious to us that in the OECD, it was going to be extremely difficult to open a bank account. So we started to look outside of the EU and all that. First stop was Canada. Went to Canada primarily because when I managed LNG 2023, I had set up a bank account, a global bank account. We received money from all over the place. There was no issues with compliance or anything like that. So it seemed a very friendly sort of area to go after, as we had previous experience. So we went through that application process, and it looked very good for a while. It looked very good until their audit and risk committee looked at it and basically came back and declined, primarily because Canada follows similar regulations, even though they're not aligned totally with what the EU is doing and all of that. ESG is not such a big issue for Canada. It is a much bigger issue for Europe. But despite all of that, they declined to open a bank account. So we knew we had to pivot somewhere else. And the somewhere else was two places, Dubai or Singapore. Unfortunately, Dubai was undergoing a full review of the nonprofit legislation, and it was messy. It was taking a long time, and it was really messy. We had no sight on when this review was going to be finished, what the new requirements were going to be. So that became a bit of an issue. Meanwhile, we approached HSB Singapore, who looked at our situation and said, we're ready to open a bank account for you, subject to a number of things. One of the things we did, we restructured the membership, whereas the formal sanctioned country members were moved into an observer status. So we clearly indicated that there would be no financial transactions between those companies and us. And that helped. But the other condition was that we needed to register and incorporate in Singapore as a nonprofit for the bank to open a bank account for us. So we proceeded with that, and we thought we would take a sort of a shortcut in doing that. And what we did was that we had 5 members called the founding members of the new organization that we went through full application to be incorporated, working with ACRA, which is the registration authority in Singapore, and we were successful in securing a nonprofit in Singapore. And the approach was that to get it through, get it approved, move now into the bank, get the bank approved, and then move the rest of the membership to IGU Singapore. So that's been sort of the process. The other issue that I neglected to mention is that the problem with the exchange bank in Spain is that their risk tolerance is much lower than the tier 1 banks because they have significant concerns over money laundering, since you're dealing with exchanges of money. So the way they deal with that is that they block quite a number of countries from financial transactions with that bank, even though those countries are not sanctioned. So we had something like 18 members that wanted to pay their fees, but couldn't pay their fees with the exchange bank because they were blocked under the exchange bank rules that they had. So we need to get a solution to this as well. So that was the issue. We're now onboarding the bank account. The bank account has been approved, but the onboarding process is a bit lengthy. But we're well on our way to securing the bank account numbers, and opening with HSBC Singapore. The other risk that we had with the Exchange Bank was that as a result of LNG 2023, there was approximately $2 million US royalty payment that was coming into the IGU as a result of that conference. And the fear was that if we moved the money into the Exchange Bank, that the Exchange Bank itself may say, wait a minute, you're not using us as an exchange bank, you're using us as a bank that we're not, and potentially ask us to leave. That was a real risk that we had to deal with. To deal with that, what we did was we created a legal agreement between IGU Switzerland and IGU UK to hold those funds in trust for IGU Switzerland and to hold them in the UK. And that gave us the opportunity to move the money from Canada into the UK and hold them in trust, meanwhile starting to earn interest on the money, which we always wanted to. So where are we now? As I said, we have incorporated in Singapore. As part of the incorporation process, we needed to establish the Articles of Association of IGU Singapore, and we did that. And in doing so, we took the opportunity to make a few changes, as little as possible, so that the articles look, the same, other than the legalities of Singapore. And we made some changes, and some of those changes, some I think are significant, but it's something that we've always discussed. The first change is that associate members will be able to vote on regular business. Regular business being approval of the budget and all those things. They will not be able to vote on constitution changes. The articles actually become a constitution in Singapore. They will not be able to vote on those changes, and they will not be able to vote on the selection of the presidency. So they're able to vote on regular business, but not changes to the Constitution or membership or the selection of the presidency of the IGU. Those two are only available to vote to charter members and premium associate members, but not regular associate members. The other thing we changed is that we're moving to electronic voting after the council meeting. So instead of voting at the council meeting, we will present the issues that need to be approved by the council, but open up a 2-week window following the council to allow electronic voting on those items by all of the membership, not just the ones who attended the council meeting. It just broadens the ability of everyone to feel connected and able to vote on the items that require council approval. The other major thing that we did was we removed a lot of the administrative burden that was placed on the council from years and years and years of existence, and moved those approvals, administrative approvals, down to the executive committee. Because what we heard from members over and over again is, when I come to a council meeting, I'm not interested in dealing with administrative matters. What my interest is to find out what is going on around the world, getting into debates about energy, gases, and not spend time on administrative matters. We want quality engagement, quality discussions around the important things, as opposed to being focused on approving administrative matters. So we've removed a lot of those administrative matters to the executive committee, which meets more often than the council, which is advantageous to getting some of those approvals. And then the last thing we did was that we, in the Constitution calls for the creation of a 5-year strategic plan for IGU Singapore. And we're currently in the process of developing that 5-year strategic plan. We hope to update you at the council meeting in October on that. You will see several announcements that will result from that. The idea behind the 5-year strategic plan is that as a union, we need to have plans that are alive, they can be updated, can be pushed forward, and not restricted to the 3-year presidency cycles, which are generally fairly static. That the plans, and the strategic focus of the presidencies has been developed probably like 4 years before the World Gas Conference, and they sort of remain static. But they're also not fully inclusive of the organization. There are strategic priorities that each presidency has had, and while we respect that, obviously, from an organization, we need a plan that encompasses the whole organization and more importantly, defines where we want to take the IGU. As an organization, where do we want to be in the future? And the first inaugural 5-year plan will define how the IGU needs to change, modernize in order to stay relevant and important, grow its membership, become more relevant, and have a wider net in terms of membership, in terms of focus, in terms of capabilities that are important to delivering the strategic plan. You will see elements of that at the council meeting, and I hope you're all coming to the council meeting in October. It's a very critical council meeting in view that we'll have discussions about this 5-year strategic plan. We're also having a very interesting side event, industry event that is being designed for the afternoon of the council. So we hope to see you at the council meeting. So those are the changes that are made in terms of the constitution of IGU Singapore in comparison to the Articles of Association that exist for IGU. All intended to increase efficiency, create more value to our members, create more engagement with our members, become much more regionally focused than we are. I mean, obviously, we are a global organization, but we have to have impact at the regional level. And the world is not really becoming a single market. It's still a very fragmented, I would say, market with different priorities, whether you're in Asia, Europe, North America, Latin America, Africa, and all of that. And we need to ensure that we're relevant in the regions while maintaining our global focus. So what happens next is that, unfortunately, the ARCRA brought in a new procedure on how to onboard new members. And it's unfortunately a bit of an overreach. And we're trying to deal with that. We actually put a legal paper together that we're going to submit to the authority to indicate that it is a bit of an overreach. You don't need to go to the extent that you're going through to bring new members in. But meanwhile, we have to do what we have to do. So what we've done is we've taken the requirements to bring the members into Singapore. We have created sort of data sheets for each member, populated those data sheets with as much information as we had. We could also research publicly. There's different requirements if you're a traded organization like one of the majors, versus a nonprofit, like an association, or if you are government owned. There are different kind of requirements. So we've taken the whole membership, divided it into the categories, and we created one pagers that lays out the details of the information that ACRA is looking for from each member. There are gaps in the information that we need your help with. So to that extent, we will be sending you your member fact sheet, if you may, so that you can fill in the rest of the data. One of the things that is needed, which from our perspective it shouldn't, is that we need a copy of the passport of the contact person for the member. And that's the proof that that member is willing to come on to IGU Singapore. ACRA may or may not call you to simply confirm. The good thing is that they don't need to be notarized, so they don't have to be legal documents. Copies are fine. So that's what's needed. I should have also mentioned that there's a small fee to the registration. We will cover that. There'll be no cost to the members. There's also no change to the fee structure of membership. It stays the same, simply moves over to Singapore under the same requirements as before. There's no change to the governance. We still have a presidency. We still have the way we manage things is still the same. There's no change to that. So basically, we're mirroring what we do under IGU Swiss with IGU Singapore. It'll be the same process as you're used to. The only slight change is there are 5 officers for IGU Singapore, whereas there's only 3 officers for IGU Switzerland. That's really the only change that occurs, other than some of the constitution changes that I mentioned. So that's where we're at. Expect to see in the next little while the fact sheets for your organization. We hope that you'll be able to look at that, fill in the required information that may be missing, and get it back to us with a copy of, it could be a digital copy of your passport. We will obviously hold those in confidence, and once they get submitted to ACRA, you will not see those again. But that's just part of the process that we have to go through to onboard the membership from Swiss to Singapore. The Articles of Association stay in place until the end of the year. IGU Swiss stays, we'll be governed under IGU Swiss until the end of the year. And in January next year, we will invoice the membership fees through IGU Singapore. And at that stage, we will be under the constitution of IGU Singapore. So it's a lot of work to get a bank account, but we need a secure, tier 1 bank account because of the financial resources. I can also tell you that if our financial resources were much higher, they're not. But let's say if they were in the 50 to 100 million range, probably banks would have opened a bank account for us because the risk reward to a bank probably would have been sufficient. But with a very low reserve that we have, the risk reward is simply not there for the bank. And that's why we have failed to open a bank account. So I will open it up for any comments, questions that you may have. Thank you for joining again. We'll provide a status at the council meeting, obviously, on where we are, and hope we can get going with that. So, Andrea.
Thanks, Mel, for the extensive explanation of a very complex process that we have followed in these last years. I think the representation was really very well structured and took away most of the complexities that we had to face. I wanted to reassure also our members that we were very much having constant work between the Secretariat, the Audit and Risk Committee, and we were having a very strong backing by the Executive Committee as well. Of course, it's not an easy matter. It's not something that we would have liked to put on your desk. At the same time, is the real manner to protect the interest of the IGU going forward. So I will for sure support any action in this direction. And I would like you to be supportive as well, because we need you to follow up with this process in the best possible manner to get the most out of the IGU going forward. I'll stop there, but I'm really comfortable about the action plan that is being put in stream. Of course, the regulatory, the ESG, the banking themes that Mel was depicting briefly were really complex. Honestly speaking, with an ex-post evaluation, we could have been doing things differently, but I mean, it's a fact of life. We are where we are, and we have, again, the possibility nowadays with this process to set up the best possible IGU baseline for the future. Thanks again.
The only additional information I'll give is that, we will have a physical office in Singapore. However, we will not have any employees in Singapore. The employees will remain in London. There will be some services that will have to be secured in Singapore. Corporate legal, for example. We have corporate legal in Switzerland. Auditing of the financials, managing the bank account. So that'll be a service contract that we set up in Singapore to support us with that process and ongoing. Those costs are not significant, and in view of the much reduced sanction list in Singapore, we would be significant money ahead by allowing those blocked members to begin to repay and pay their membership fees into the IGU. Any other questions anybody might have? We're always available. Oleg can help you with anything that you might want. Reach out to me personally. That's not a problem. We'll go through this process. Hopefully we can get there by the end of the year, move the membership over. IGU switch will remain in place. The funds will move over to Singapore from Spain, securing that. So, as I said, minimal change. And I think the changes that have been made through the Constitution are very positive changes that will enable us to be a much more effective, efficient organization for the membership. All right. Anybody have any questions? The recording will be available. We have another call in a few hours to make sure we capture the rest of our members whose timing doesn't quite work right now. So we will have one of those two recordings available should you wish to access it and review it. There's a question, Linda.
Yes, hi. I'm Linda from FGSZ Hungary, and thank you very much for the detailed explanation of the process and the reasons for the changes. It's very useful. I have only one question, which is unclear regarding the contact person to IGU from each member company. So what I'd like to know is, do you know what level of representation do you need with the passports to be presented to the Singaporean authorities? You said contact person for the member. What does this mean exactly? What level? Should it be the head of the company, or a liaison from the company, a working level person? Thank you very much for clarifying that.
I mean, we have contacts for our members, primary contact, secondary contact. We don't worry about the level of the individual that is the contact person with the IGU. So it doesn't have to be the CEO. It doesn't have to be a member of an officer. It's just the contact individual who can basically verify, if needed, to say that, yes, we're an organization, the facts presented on the sheets are correct, and we are members of the IGU, and that's all it's going to take for ACRA to approve the move in. Our view is this is a bit of an overreach by the regulatory authority, because we have to do that for every new member now, which doesn't seem logical, because the organization is governed by 5 officers who are responsible for the organization. The organization is governed by the Constitution, which spells out who can be member and who can't be member. So why do you need to go down to that level of confirmation when some company wants to become a member? It seems like a bit of an overreach to us, and we're making that point to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
So the information sheet will be sent to the primary contact. We will copy the secondary contact for your organization. So we have 2 contacts for each organization. So we'll send it to the primary contact, but we'll copy the secondary contact as well to make sure that it's received. Thank you for the question. That was.
Excuse me, I have a problem. Technical problem. The connection.
Okay. Did you have a question or?
I have a technical problem.
Okay. Whoa.
I have a technical problem. The
Okay.
connection.
Connection. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, if you have any questions, please follow up with Oleg or myself.
No, I don't have a question. I'm so interested to attend in this event. I would be grateful for the opportunity to attend this event. And thank you for you all.
Thank you. Yeah, we hope to see you in London. Please register. It's very important for our logistic sort of organization of the gala dinner and the meetings to know as soon as possible how many will be attending. Up to this point, we have a very, very good attendance, I would say, considering we just entered September. So I think it'll be a very fulsome meeting, and I hope to see all of you in London to break bread, as they say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I can just join the welcoming that I will be happy to have with you all in London from my side as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Mel.
I think we're.
See you soon.
Oh, I see maybe another question or hand raised.
Yes. Hi. Thank you very much. Just another question regarding the side event. You mentioned it will be very interesting following the council session, but I have not seen and not have received information on what that will be. And it seemed quite important to determine whether our CEO will stay over for that or departs home earlier. Could you please share some insights in what is that going to be? Thank you.
Yeah, we're just designing the industry event. The industry event will have obviously some welcoming remarks. We hope to get a representative from the G7, the Canadian G7, to provide an update on what's been going on with the energy ministerial and all that from the G7, their areas of focus, etc. And then we'll have two panels. We'll have a panel on basically on all aspects of renewable gas, financing, technical, all of that. We'll also have a panel on CCS and carbon capture and all of that. So, and we're bringing a sort of external high-level voices to the table to hear their perspectives on the challenges. We'll have even the users of energy on some of the panels. So very diverse set of panels. We will get that out to you shortly with the details. We're just finishing up the lineup of speakers. In addition to the industry event, during the council meeting, the second part of the council meeting will also have two panels, two member panels. The first member panel will be around the latest developments in energy policy. The speakers of that panel will be Karen Herbert, the CEO of the American Gas Association. There's so much going on in the U.S. We want to hear from her. We're going to hear from Greece, the particularly on the LNG policy that Greece is pursuing, and we're going to hear the policy shifts in New Zealand, where New Zealand not too long ago banned exploration of gas and oil. It had to reverse that ban and introduce now gas into the system, exploration for gas, because it's needed from a security of supply perspective. So we're going to hear those different perspectives. And then we're going to, we're going to have an associate panel. We're still filling that up, but this is an opportunity for the associate members to tell us the latest innovations that they're working on. And we'll have three speakers on that panel to tell us and share some of that information. So that's in addition to the industry event that will be in the afternoon. That those two panels will be on the second part of the morning council meeting. Of course, the gala dinner is the evening before the council meeting. But we'll get more information around the agenda and all of that to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the questions. Great questions. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it. I want to thank you for joining me. As we said, it's been a long and bumpy road, but hopefully we're in the final leg in getting there, and we'll certainly celebrate when we get there. Thank you for your continued support to the IGU. Thank you for your engagement. We look forward to seeing you in London. And if you need anything from the Secretariat, we're here, we're available. Please reach out to us. So thank you very much.